Today we'll be discussing fun, exciting ways to teach kids all about the brain. Now you can actually have them go in the lab and actually experiment with real brain organs. We actually ordered these from one of our vendors. This is actually a sheep brain. But what we want them to know is that there are 4 lobes of the brain: the frontal, the occipital, the temporal, and the parietal lobe. And then we also want them to learn about the cerebellum. The cerebellum is a part of the brain that controls all of our body movements. So if a student is able to balance on a bicycle, that's because their cerebellum is actually sending signals so that they're able to maintain their balance in their movement and their coordination to stay up without falling off. You can also do a very simple Jell-O brain. You can order one of these on Amazon. This is actually, you can fill it with Jell-O. We like to actually fill ours with Jell-O, just a red Jell-O, and sometimes we'll put words inside of it. I don't know if you can see the letters, but we put letters in there to spell one of our keywords of the week. And I see some letters floating. What are they? B-R-A-I-N. What does that spell? Brain. So your students can actually dissect a Jell-O brain if they're not ready to actually do this brain.
Hi, welcome to STEM with Stanley. I'm Vanessa and this is Macy, and today we have a fun STEM activity where we become neurologists building our own neuron. During this activity, your students will learn the different components of the neuron and their purpose. Did you know neurons transmit electrical signals that tell our bodies what to do? And one human brain consists of about 86 billion neurons. The brain is like a supercomputer that helps us think, learn, and feel. The neuron is a special cell in our brains that act as messengers, sending tiny messages to each other. We have the cell body, which acts as the brain. We have the nucleus, which acts as the control center. The dendrites, which act as message receivers. We have the myelin sheath, which is a protective coat. And we have the axon, which is a message sender, and the nerve endings, which is the messengers. So, Macy, what is the cell body used for? The brain. Good job. Okay, so now it's time to make our own 3D model of a neuron. And all we're gonna need today is a couple of pipe cleaners and a little bit of air dry clay. Which colors would you like to use today, Macy? The pink and the dark pink. Some optional materials would be toothpicks and paper so you can label the different parts of the neuron. Okay, Macy, so the first part we're gonna make is the cell body. To make the cell body, you're gonna grab that, roll it into a ball like this. And when you're done rolling it, we're gonna put it flat against the table and make it as big as we can get it because it has to take up the entire cell body like that. Put it flat against the table and flatten it. There you go. Next, we're gonna make the nucleus. So the nucleus, we want it to stand out against the cell body. So we're gonna use the lighter pink color for the nucleus. And this one, we wanna make it a perfect sphere. So can you make a perfect circle there? Roll it into a perfect circle. And then we're gonna stick it in the middle of our cell body.
I'm not rolling.
Perfect, so let's stick it in the middle of our cell body. And don't smush it too much, we want it circular, perfect. Okay, now we're gonna add our pipe cleaner as the axon. So this part we're gonna have go underneath it. So we're gonna just shove it in there, kind of like that, to go underneath it so it looks like it's attached. Perfect, that's good, and it's gonna look like a tail. Now we have to add the, what part are we adding, do you remember? We're gonna take little pieces this time, and we're gonna add the myelin sheath.
It looked like BB flavor.
Remember, the myelin sheath is like a protective coat over the axon, so we're gonna make tiny pieces like this, and then we're gonna wrap it around the pipe cleaner so it protects it. Try it out. Okay, so we have one last part to add, and we're gonna use the light pink so that it stands out. We're gonna make the dendrites. The dendrites come off of the cell body. So let me show you first, and then you can try. So we're gonna take a tiny piece and roll it like a worm. You're used to making worms with Play-Doh, right?
Wormies. I like wormies.
Wormies. And then look what I'm gonna do with it. Let go real quick. We're gonna attach it to the cell body and it's gonna come off like that. Can you make a couple like that for me? Add more of this color so it can be different from the dendrite. And so the dendrite has different branches coming off it. So this time we're gonna make them even smaller. We're gonna attach it to the dendrites like that. Do you see? All right, so our last step is we're gonna take this and we're gonna fold it. And can you fold a piece of it for me? Fold this piece over here. Yeah, we're just bending it. Bendy, bendy. Okay, so we're gonna...
Just a bendy.
We're gonna attach it to the end here. And this part, Macy, look over here. This part represents the nerve ending. So that's a very sensitive part of the neuron, right? It's a nerve ending. It connects to other neurons in our brain. Now let's hear from the gem of STEM.
So this week's experiment kind of centers around biology or bioscience because we're actually studying one of the most important organs that we have, and that is the brain. One of the neurological disorders that a lot of us are familiar with may be Alzheimer's or Parkinson's and different neurological disorders that sometimes our elderly grandparents are experiencing because of their brain function. And we want the students to understand the 4 parts of the brain and exactly which areas of the brain are responsible for what. For technology this week, we are actually able to use different tools for technology. We can put different parts of the brain underneath a microscope to actually look at the different patterns in the brain. We can also use technology to take a virtual tour of maybe a museum to study more about the brain or to actually look at different experiments that have been done. We can also look up different videos on YouTube or Google them to find out about different parts of the brain. Dr. Binox always has very good videos to share with kids to explain it to them in a kid-friendly way. Our students were actually able to engineer their own brain by making a jello brain, and then they dissected that brain. And we just told them that dissect is a fancy word for cut apart. What does dissect mean? It means to cut apart. So we keep it very, very kid-friendly, very simple, but we want them to understand this advanced concept. And for mathematics, we want them to know what contributes to the understanding of brain functions and its disorders. We want them to explore statistics and the vital role of interpreting brain data and those signals that the brain sends. We can also dive into more mathematical concepts by modeling and simulating complex brain processing using math tools to study and predict brain behavior. We can use different math aids to study different brain disorders and the treatments of those. So I just went over STEM, the concepts of STEM for your children to enjoy. An exciting way and fun way to learn all about brain and its activity and its functions and how vital the brain is to our everyday life.